I'm Kay Bess, and this is the B-Hive. Women in voiceover, the voices of the fairer sex that keep the wheels of commerce and creativity moving in this country. Voices you hear every day, but names you likely don't know until now. Hello, ladies and gents. Welcome to the B-Hive. Today I have, I think, my first East Coast voiceover talent. That's right. I have spread my wings and have flown across the country to reach into the New York market and bring you Kirsten Krohn, who is an amazing voice talent who, before I got the recommendation to interview her from Carly Silver, casting director at Sound and Fury, I never heard Kirsten Krohn's name before. But let me tell you, she has quite a prolific career in commercial voiceover. She is the announcer in the Charmin commercials with all those cute little bears. Love those commercials so much. And actually, I think I remember auditioning for that or for the Bears or something. Anyway, fantastic campaign. Garnier, which is a huge campaign. She's been heard on Geico, Ford, and the New York Lottery. She's had just quite a lengthy career, and voiceover work has sustained her for long stretches and many iterations of her career. Earlier in her career, she did a lot of promo work and was the voice of several stations at once, like Lifetime, O. She worked for CNN, some NBC, some Discovery, and she's just a marvelous talent and is quite prolific in her commercial work. So I am so happy to bring to you Kirsten Krohn. I also want to say that I've left in this portion of our recording together because, oh my goodness, we had such a difficult time connecting through IPDTL through no fault of the service whatsoever, but due to my incompetence as a technical person and clearly Kirsten's incompetence as a technical person. So we're much better in the booth, standing in front of a microphone than fiddling with knobs and trying to find connections. Anyway, I thought it was kind of hilarious, so I left it in. Thank you to Townsend Coleman for getting on the line with us and helping us to figure out what the snap was going on. Anyway, we ended up with a good connection, and here is Kirsten Krohn. Townsend, you're
yes,
like
dear.
A god to me. Not the god, but a god, you know.
Well, yes, thank you. Well, I hope it works out, yeah. And Kirsten, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you so much for all of your help.
Of
and
course.
Instructions.
Of course. Now, don't forget to put that little male part back in the big male part.
Oh, I will.
To be able to plug
Use
back
it
into
again.
your Mac.
Use it properly.
And,
Don't worry.
And be able to hook all that stuff up back
Right.
the way it was. Okay. All right, you guys. Well, have fun. Enjoy.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Take care.
Townsend.
You bet. Bye.
Here we are.
Well,
We did it.
So what was that? I'm a professional for 20 years in the business.
Please. I am as lost as you were. I'm telling you. It's like I would not have. I always tell people don't use headphones that have a microphone in them. But I think that we just don't even see the microphone. I mean, you don't see a mic on the Apple headphones, but it's there.
No, it is there. I know,
There's a
it's bizarre.
microphone on I have this one single wireless earpiece that I use, and there's a microphone in that. I mean, it's crazy. Okay. Are you ready?
I am. Hit me.
Okay, everybody, please welcome to the B-Hive, Kirsten Krohn, all the way
Hi.
from the state of New York.
Yeah.
Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. I just want to tell everybody that we just had the most fun trying to connect with each other either through ISDN or IPDTL, and it was just a fantastic comedy of errors for a couple of professional women in voiceover.
Hilarious. Well, thank you. Thank you for having me on. So nice. So great.
It's a pleasure. And just so y'all know, most of the people that I've had in the B-Hive here, I know. I have met personally. I've known for a long time. But Kirsten and I have never met.
No.
We happen to be represented by the same agency, so we're connected in that way. But I don't know. I'm thinking maybe prior to this that you've never heard my name before, and I'm guessing that that's sort of the case. And
no, I have not. But that's sort of unfortunately the nature of a lot of the business. With voiceover at least, where you're in the California crowd is very different from the New York crowd.
Yeah, exactly.
Really overlap.
Exactly. It's true. And so I got Kirsten's name from our former agent of ours, Carly Silver. So how long have you been doing voiceover?
I've been doing voiceovers for over 20 years, which freaks me out. That's just not that old. It's so weird.
Right. No, yeah. I hear you. That I totally get that. Did you come to voiceover through acting, through radio, through some other weird channel that you don't even?
So I have a really interesting. I went to college thinking I wanted to be a doctor. That whole pre-med thing didn't work out very well.
Interesting. For me. Okay.
So I defaulted to a psychology major.
Okay.
But every semester I always took an acting class because that was just my release and my fun and my joy.
And where were you going to school?
I was at Cornell University in Ithaca, New York.
All right.
Yeah. And, I certainly wasn't there to be an actor. I mean, I wasn't there to be an actor.
You're there to be a doctor.
I'm there to be a doctor. But I graduated and I moved to New York, and I thought I would combine my interest in, performance/communication with my interest in medicine. And I got a job in pharmaceutical marketing.
Wow.
And it was the most boring, reserved aspect of communications you could possibly pick. But I had a fantastic boss and a very bright career ahead of me.
Yeah.
I just didn't like it at all.
Yeah.
But I loved my boss, and she allowed me, when my then fiance, now husband of 22 years, when my husband said, I don't know why you're not doing what you love to do. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, why aren't you just pursuing acting?
Yeah.
And, my attitude was like, you mean I can?
Yeah.
Seriously? I'm going to wake up in New York and be like, I want to be an actress. I just couldn't take myself too seriously.
Right.
So I decided to apply to graduate school because that's how you sort of can show that you have a great respect for the craft. And I felt like I had a lot to learn, and it had been a long time since I really performed much. And 6 weeks before my auditions, I was squished between two trucks. Walking on 23rd Street. Never, ever, ever do this. Stay on the sidewalks. Should anybody listening ever venture into New York City or any other bustling town. I was in a big rush. I was walking on the outside of a parked truck, and another truck came and just squished me. And I had 8 broken ribs and 2 collapsed lungs. I was in a big rush to get back to my office, and I saw that oncoming in the distance was an available taxi. But I did that quick calculation. If I would stay on the sidewalk, the truck would be in the way of me hailing the cab.
Right.
So I walked on the outside of the parked truck on this wide street.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I feel something. I look, and on the entire side of my left, the exposed side of my body, was another truck that was fortunately going very slowly because he was double parking. But he just didn't see me.
Wow.
Until I started screaming and trying to push the cargo section of a truck away.
Oh my God.
And he heard me. I literally, through the very narrow canal of, I saw the mirror, and I saw him looking in the mirror, and I saw him see me.
Yeah.
And he stopped, thankfully. At that point, I had been moved from facing forward to facing sideways. But the space from my ribs down was available. It was, air. So I slid down and was now lying on 23rd Street, staring up at the bottom of two trucks and flailing, like going through the checklist. And,
oh my God.
I started to have trouble breathing. And so I was like, oh my God, well, if my lung is punctured, then am I going to need surgery? I mean, I'm going through the whole thing.
Right. So you broke several ribs, did I?
Yes. I had 8 broken ribs and 2 collapsed lungs, but fortunately I did not require surgery. And I was out of the hospital about a week and a half later, and I recuperated for about 6 weeks, and about 4 months later I was married.
Wow. Everything gets really clear, right?
Right. And 6 weeks or 4 weeks after I was released from the hospital, I had my auditions for graduate school.
Oh my God.
And that didn't go. I was like, hi, I'm here today. A few weeks ago I was hit by a truck and I had 8 broken ribs and 2 collapsed lungs. But today I'd like to do Shakespeare, and needless to say, I didn't get in. I don't know if I should blame it on the accident but I didn't get into graduate school, and I ended up keeping my day job for a while and working, going to 2 nights a week at the William Esper studio in New York for 2 years, at the very end of which I got some headshots taken, and I distributed them to subpar agents around New York. And this one guy called me on my home answering machine and left a message saying, we'd like you to try out for a Plus White toothpaste commercial. I happen to have very nice teeth, which I used to always say to people, they detract from looking at my ass. That's why I have such nice teeth. So I went on this audition and I got the part.
Wow.
So I booked that job. Thank you. My very first non-union event. And the guy, this schlubby agent guy was like, well, you booked that. Why don't you go out for this, the principal extra on a General Nutrition Center's job?
Principal extra. I love that.
Principal. So camera was on me as I'm admiring vitamins, but I don't do any talking.
Right.
So I go up to the person who looks like the most important person on the set, and I was like, are you hiring a voiceover for this job? So he's like, yes, why? I said, I don't know. I mean, if you're looking for a female kind of raspy voice, I'd love to be considered. So he said, great, send me your tape. And I said, what tape? I don't have a tape. I was like, I barely had enough money to scrape together the headshot that I submitted for this gig.
Right.
I don't have a tape. And he's like, well, read this. And he literally was the creative director. They had just won this giant piece of business.
Yeah.
He handed me copy out of his back pocket. I read it. He said, sounds good to me. Let's bring you in for the client.
Wow.
I go to read for the client.
Oh my God, I love this story.
The client hires me. And my very first major recording was at the Howard Schwartz recording studio, which in New York at that time was one of the most prestigious, spots. And if I tell you that I had no idea what I was doing, it was like I was now in the You Light Up My Life video where she is singing with the headphones on her head. And
that's hilarious. And all your dreams have come true.
That's right. There's a whole lingo, the cans, the takes, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I pretend like I do.
Yeah.
Because they've just hired me. So I read, I do a very nice job, I come out, and the sound engineer says to me, you have a great voice, I don't know why you don't have more work. And I was like, dude, more work? I don't have shit. I don't have a tape. Sorry. I don't have a agent. I don't have a tape. I don't have anything. He's like, that's ridiculous. And he picks up the phone and he calls his friend, hands me the phone. This is all the same day. I had taken the day off from my job.
Yeah.
Because I was getting my SAG eligibility through this commercial.
Yeah.
I mean, this was it was crazy town. So he said, here, and he hands me the phone, and I do have good banter. So I had a wonderful conversation with the guy on the other end who said, well, why don't you come in today? I said, terrific, I'm available. So I make an appointment. He gives me his address. I have no idea where he works. I go home because I had some time to kill, and I look in my, at that time, the Ross Reports, which was a book that was printed listing all of the casting agents and agents in town. Yeah. And I see that I'm going to meet with the head of the voiceover department with the William Morris agency. Now, I mean, so awesome. I hadn't really heard of many agents at that point.
You hear of them, yeah.
But I knew them. So I walk into the William Morris agency, literally like I have half of my thigh between my fingers, pinching myself like, this is crazy that this is happening. And I'm also sort of telling myself this mantra that I'm loved. I am deeply loved. Like, forget what these people think of me. I mean, if they don't like me, I don't care. I'm loved.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Jill Hennessy comes and sits down next to me in the waiting room. At the time, Jill Hennessy was the, star of Law and Order.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So she comes and sits down next to me, and now I'm like, using the back of my hand to rub my nostrils, like, like I'm just feeling like, what is going on? I feel like there's a camera somewhere filming the day because it was so outrageous. And all of a sudden, this really nice looking guy is like, hey, Kirsten, come on back. And so I go back, I sit down across the desk from this guy, and I say, I'm sorry, are the planets aligned in a really special way today? Because I can't even.
How am I here? Yeah.
Yeah. And the next week he sent me out and I booked a Jello commercial and for voice. And within 2.5 months, I quit my day job and I had this voiceover career.
Yeah.
And I was all set in my head. I was thinking, well, if I do really well in the, commercials department, maybe I could get some intros in the legit department, whatever.
Right.
And I was all set to do that. And I discovered that I was pregnant with my first child. Not a great time to look, to pursue your film career. So I was like, let me have the kid. So I have the kid. I lose the weight. I'm all set to go and maybe broach the topic. And I find out I'm pregnant again. And that just kept happening to the point where I have 4 sons and I just remained
a fantastic voiceover career.
A voiceover career. A few on cameras here and there for commercials, but mostly just voice.
I got to tell you, I think that sounds like destiny to me. I thought that's a fantastic story that it all just came down that way. So how did you make your way to Atlas Talent?
So I started at William Morris.
Yeah.
The agents at that time, after 2 or 3 years, William Morris decided to close the commercials
the scale department. Yeah.
So my agents were going to open the commercial department of a legit agency, and while I loved them as people, I didn't really have the greatest of faith in them as business people to be entrepreneurs and agents.
Yeah,
it's a
whole another deal.
Yeah, it's a tall order.
Yeah,
and so I respectfully declined to go with them and ended up at ICM for a while. And then this woman who was my promo agent at ICM and opened up a lot of promo doors moved to
Buchwald?
Buchwald, thank you. So I went with her to Buchwald, and that's when my career started sputtering a little bit. And Buchwald seemed to me to have a slightly different philosophy.
Yeah.
And as soon as Lisa offered me the chance to come and, check out Atlas, I took it and haven't left since.
Yeah. That's great. That's the whole agency thing is such a fascinating world of how we move, Some people don't ever move and they're there.
Correct.
And they have this super long, very, profitable relationship with agents that have known them forever and all that stuff. But a lot of us, I think sometimes we kind of go, is this working out? There's a lull in my work. Is that me? Is it my agents? Is it? And so it starts this thing of maybe there's other stuff out there, the whole curiosity factor gets blooming,
Exactly.
So interesting. And so would you say that your area of expertise is the wrong word, but did you focus on one particular aspect of voiceover? Are you mostly sort of in the commercial promo world?
Yes, although, I'll do anything.
Yeah.
I would welcome the chance for a little bit more on the animation side, but there's just not that much of it cast in New York.
Yeah. What about video games?
I would do a video game. I'll do, I say my motto is I'm available.
Yeah.
That's my
That's
motto.
good.
It's always been my motto. And this business, as I'm sure you've seen, has gotten, even more and more. It used to be that, I would find out by 6 o'clock the night before what my schedule was, whatever. But now, oftentimes I live just outside New York City so that I can be in New York quickly if need be. And there are days where I'll get a call at 11:30 asking if I can be in the city by 2. So, if I had a plan, a life, a doctor's appointment, not so much.
Yeah.
But, it's become sort of, that's part of my job. I've always looked at this business, and this is what I tell people who are trying to break into the business, that your job description really is to just be available.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Because if you're not available, they'll just go down
with someone
the line.
else. Yeah. That's a fantastic little nugget. I mean, what's your job? I mean, I always say my job is to audition. That is, I coach some folks, and they, after 4 or 5 auditions, they get really frustrated that they haven't booked anything. And I'm like, well, that,
right.
Your job is to audition. So if you're auditioning, you're working.
You're working.
And
exactly.
the whipped cream and cherry on top is if you land the gig. I mean, that's a great thing. But it's, being available is imperative. That's a fantastic nugget. It's true. If you and I catch myself sometimes, I've been at this for about 35 years, and there are times when I'm tired,
Right.
and you kind of go, oh, I just got this audition, but I just came in, and I need to make dinner, and it's like,
right.
That whole thing of, do I go back out into the studio? Am I going to wait until the morning? Like all that kind of stuff rolls in, and there are times when I've said, nope, I'm passing on that one. And what is it? You miss 100% of the opportunities that you do not take.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
So to be available is a huge piece of it, and that's a fantastic mantra. It truly is.
Thank you.
What would you say if you could pinpoint something that was an obstacle in your voiceover path that you felt like you had to overcome in order to be able to do what you do? Can you name something? Sometimes no, it's just like, this is what I do, and it's, but I'm just curious if you ever came to a point where it was like, oh, I'm not doing what I want, I'm not booking what I want, and I need to do something different in order to make that happen. Does that make sense?
Yes, but I've met lots of people who have had that. I've met a lot of extremely talented New York actors, and they're very, for lack of a better word, they're a little dramatic about their pursuit of their career. And I have found, first of all, while I did a lot of acting, and I did go to that 2-year program twice a week.
Was that a Meisner program?
Yes.
I wondered, because I went to a 2-year program twice a week.
Twice a week.
And it was Meisner. Yeah. So
Meisner,
I was like,
yes.
That sounds really familiar.
Yeah, that's exactly. So, I never really, and I kept doing my pharmaceutical marketing job. Yeah. And, I just came at it like, okay, I'm going to try to pursue acting. But if I'm not making any money, I'm going to take my Ivy League education and go do something else, because I just came at it from more of a business perspective. Like, if this is working for me, great. I'll keep working. If it's not working for me, okay, I'll pack up my things and hightail it to somewhere else and something else.
Yeah.
And I just have always felt extremely grateful for anything that comes my way, because I have such respect for the other people who are auditioning. And to me, it's like eeny, meeny. It's half the time I say, what am I doing here? She's going to book the thing. What the hell am I doing here?
Yeah.
And then I'll get the job. And I'm like, wow, And I do find my other little mantra is, the less I clutter myself with the mishigas of the business, the better off I am.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not great with the names, and as soon as I remember a name, the person changes their job anyway, especially the producers in commercials.
Yeah.
You know,
that's so rapid moving. Yeah.
Yeah, like you know, the people who I know are the casting people, and
Yep.
and even that is changing because so much of the casting is now done through your agency.
Right.
You know, I've met people who spent a lot of time and effort, sort of sweet talking with the casting people, and I never quite understood. I mean, it's very nice if you really like those people, but it's not going to do anything to further your career.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And I swear, you can see it. You know, you can. I mean, I took a workshop last weekend with an animation casting director and director, and it's just kind of fascinating to watch how. Because I feel like if I'm doing good work in this class, that will speak for itself. I don't need to do anything. I don't need to sort of, hey, can I email you? Can I send you my, in fact, I so shy away from that because I think, oh, wow, if they don't, it just seems to me that I got to let my work speak for itself. And these folks are busy. They have lives. They have children. They have, they got stuff on their plate, and they're not spending their time, fielding emails from people who want to be in voiceover. It's a sort of a manifestation of that thing of you got your work has to be good. You're there to learn. Let your work be good and communicate through your agent. That's kind of how it works.
Right.
Yeah. So I totally get your MO.
And it can be tough and it's not to say I have very nice relationships with everybody I work with. I just make it my business to, my job is to be available, show up, be a vessel, try to deliver whatever the direction is that these people are trying to elicit from me, and then leave.
Then
do it as quickly as possible so that they can get to what they need to. Truth of the matter is, I get it from a business structure.
Right.
We're like the last people on the totem pole. I mean, this is like the last piece. You fit this in, and then boom, fine. Now we can finally finish this production and get this thing shipped.
Yeah.
So nobody's that interested. It's the painful.
Yeah,
reality.
It's a painful truth. It's a big truth. I appreciate you speaking it because it's true.
I always feel so badly like, oh, sweetheart, I'm so sorry, but no one cares.
Yeah, and you know what? I think though, if people who are frustrated in voiceover right now or who are new to it and trying to find it, I feel like that is a huge. If you let it, it can be a weight off your shoulders because you don't. I'm introverted, and it is a burden to me to go out and socialize. It's a burden to go to the Christmas party. Not because I don't like everybody there. I love everybody there. It's just not, it's like, it sucks the life out of me. And so I would hope that information like this from you can be a relief to people. Like, oh, I don't, I want to communicate, but only in ways that are actually meaningful, that are not extraneous and fluffy and pointless, Right. Because to me, it would be. I mean, if I heard that from you the first time, it happens to be my MO as well. But if I heard it, I'd be like, oh, thank God I don't have to stretch myself so thin and my energy so thin just in trying to make friends with casting directors, don't have to do that, just do good work. That's my thing. Just do good work. So that's fantastic. So how do you, I guess you've sort of answered this question. I was going to ask you, how has your career changed by having children? But I think that you articulated it well, and that your children helped to carve out the trajectory of your career, which I assume that you ultimately perceive as a blessing to you.
Yes, because I was able to sort of have flexibility, but balance things. And, I always sort of shy away from the word flexible because people think I have a flexible schedule. And
right.
and it's, again, it's not that I have a flexible schedule. It's that my job is to be available. So if I just remain available, I'm available to everyone,
Right.
My kids, my husband, whatever. But, I'm actually it's like being on call all the time. My husband happens to be a physician because I married the doctor.
You married the doctor. You're so smart.
I married
Your parents were so happy about that.
Actually, I just have to say this because it's such a cute story, I think. He went to Cornell also. He was an English major undergrad who took bio for poets. And he graduated and worked and held a variety of writing jobs and came home after probably 6 months of working and writing jobs and said, I want to be a writer and a doctor. And then he went back and took all those postgraduate science classes and then applied to medical school and started medical school 3 years after we graduated.
Wow.
So between him doing that, me sort of pursuing what I wanted to do, when our first child was born, he was in his first year of residency.
Oh my goodness.
And so I was a single working mom.
Yeah, that's a
nursing,
lot.
the whole thing. And I carried that kid with me all around to auditions, it was that's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I've told people before that I took my daughter I was doing promos at CBS for a while for daytime, and I remember they called me to come in, and I was like, I have a 2-week-old in there. The producer was like, bring her.
Right.
So I nursed her while I was working.
Totally.
And
totally.
that's voiceover for you.
Yep.
In that it's possible. It's possible. You get people who cooperate with that kind of stuff, and you can totally do it.
Totally do it. I was in a studio recording for Lifetime, and they were like, "How are you doing today?" I was like, "Great. I'm in labor." They were like, "What?" I was like, "Yep, but no, we're good. I got 2 hours before I'm
Yeah. I'll be good for 2 hours. So
just gonna hail a cab. I'm good.
Yeah.
No problem.
That is so great. Oh my goodness. What would you say is the best voiceover job you ever had? Can you quantify it?
Honestly, I can't get over my fortuity. I just, I was the voice of Verizon on the radio for years. And then, the job went away as these kinds of things do.
Yeah.
And then it came back. And I was the voice of Verizon for another several years.
Wow.
I think in total it was 9 years or something. It was.
That's crazy.
I've worked on Charmin now for a couple of years. Every time they call, I'm like, seriously, I'm so excited. I can't believe they still want to, work with me. It's fantastic. So I just seem to be super fortunate in that I get, there's times where I just get that one spot and that's that. Or people, I'm sure this has happened where people, a job that you worked on a year or two, all of a sudden they come back.
Yeah.
And, it's so lovely. It's so flattering.
Yeah. And I have to say also just the fact that, the longevity of your career, speaks very well of you. I think because trends change and sounds change, and it speaks to your malleability as an actor. Because I think we all know people who started out with us who aren't working anymore, and it's because they kind of got into this one way of reading something and couldn't break out of it,
Right.
But things change. They really change. They really do. And it's subtle. Sometimes it's subtle and sometimes it's big, so that's pretty awesome. So we're coming to the end here, and I want to play my little game B-Hive Roulette. However, my roulette wheel is broken, which is so sad. Isn't that sad? What a sad, pathetic.
It's not our day for technology.
I know. Oh my God. If only. I'm tempted to
actually. Thank God your roulette's broken, Kay, because
who knows what
getting to this point. I mean, really. Of course,
but I still feel like I have to ask you some of these questions. So I want to, but we're going to kind of do it rapid fire. So it's like on your toes, like first thing that comes to your mind, right, kind of thing. So normally we'd be like, if you were in the studio, we'd be spinning a wheel, just like, Jeopardy or I'm sorry, not Wheel of Fortune.
Wheel of Fortune.
And then you'd be, and anyway, so I want you to pick out 10 numbers, one at a time, between 1 and 50, And then I'm going to ask you a question that correlates to the number. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay. And then I'll ask and you just like tip of your tongue kind of answer.
Okay.
These are really stupid questions. Just
okay.
In case you haven't listened to the podcast. It's pretty stupid. Okay. Okay. Throw your first number at me.
4.
Do you like your handwriting?
Nope. It resembles a 4th grade boy.
Okay.
Terrible.
Okay, next.
16.
Window or aisle?
Recently debated this myself on an airplane. I'm going to go with aisle.
All right. You like to get out fast?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay, next.
24.
How do you like your eggs?
Sunny side up.
Sunny side up. You like the white just a little bit runny too, besides the yolk?
No, I like the yolk a little runny, but the white definitely cooked.
Cooked. Okay. All right. When I first read this question, I thought it said, "How do you like your legs?" That'd be a really weird question. Okay, next.
30.
What's your favorite non-alcoholic beverage?
Room temperature water.
Oh my God, that's so boring.
I'm sorry. That's all I drink.
Okay, that's okay. Okay, next.
Okay, Dullsville.
Okay, no, really.
34.
34. Introvert or extrovert?
Extrovert.
We're opposites. Right. We would have fun together.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, next.
41.
41. What book are you reading?
Ken Follett's new book. I can't remember the name, but he's the one that Pillars of the Earth, and the book it's a tome. It's
cool.
Like 900 pages.
Oh my God.
Yeah, just started that one.
Wow. Okay, next.
9.
Are you cynical?
No.
That's good. Okay, next. I think you have 2 more.
Okay, 33.
What's your favorite type of food?
I don't know what qualifies schnitzel.
Schnitzel is German.
It is. It's Austrian German.
Austrian German
but
sweet
I like chicken
thing, right?
Schnitzel, not
chicken
Wiener
schnitzel.
Schnitzels. It's a little more. It's more like chicken cutlet, which brings
That's
it
hilarious.
to Italy. Yeah.
That's fantastic. No one's ever answered with schnitzel before. That's a first. Okay, one more.
Okay. 50.
Name something most people don't know about you.
See, this is the hard part of being an extrovert.
Everybody knows everything.
Everybody knows everything. Well, if you didn't know me when I was a kid, I had 2 dogs growing up.
You had 2 dogs growing up. What were their names?
Sasha and Cleo.
Oh, that's very
You're
sweet.
the best.
Okay, so here, one last question, and then I will give you back to your day. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say to you when you arrive at the pearly gates?
I could tell you appreciated the moments along the way.
Right on.
That's like a heavy. I don't.
It's a big question. It's a big
question.
Existential question.
Yes, I'm telling you, I'm just trying to be grateful and enjoy and not sweat the small stuff and all of that. But this was awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Kirsten Krohn. So, where can people find you?
Well, you can. I am with Atlas Talent in New York.
Fantastic.
I am. You can hear me on Garnier, Charmin. If you live in New York, you can hear me on New York Lotto and
Fantastic.
Geico Radio.
Great.
Yeah.
And are you a Twitter person? Do you do
No.
any social media things?
Not for my career.
Okay.
No,
All right then.
I lay low.
All right. That's great. How about a website?
Nope. Oh, that's not true. KikiProductions.com.
KikiProductions.com. Okay, that's fantastic. Just if people want to go, who I want to go hear this person's voice. Yeah, but that's fantastic. Kirsten Krohn, thank you so much for joining me in the B-Hive.
Thank you, Kay. Appreciate it. Take care.
Thanks for joining me today in the B-Hive. For podcast notes, pictures, and more information on my guests, visit the podcast website, thebeehivepodcast.com. Find me at my website, kbess.com. Follow me on Twitter at kbess, and subscribe to my channel on YouTube. If you've a mind to, please post a review of the podcast on iTunes. Kind words are like honey, sweet to the soul and good for the bones. Come back for more Women in Voiceover next time in the B-Hive.